What is going on, Nuggets Nation NBA fans? My name is Tom Leuthner. Welcome back to another episode of Nuggets Today presented by FanArch. We do have some things to talk about, obviously. The first thing I want to talk about here is something that we brought up, I feel like a lot this offseason, and that is the additions that Denver's made, but not just specifically the additions, just the change in game plan. Now, this past season, Denver got beat by the three-point ball. We all know that. I went through the exact specifics of, or the specifics of the amount of games they lost because they just got outshot in the playoffs and the regular season. It's just something that they sort of struggled with, which is funny because they were a great three-point shooting team. You look at their averages. I think everybody in the starting five was an above average 3-point shooter. But the thing was, Denver never shot that many threes. I know they were a bottom 5 team when it came to 3-point attempts per game. And I know that Adelman said this upcoming year he wants to slow down the pace. He doesn't want to play that fast pace. And I think that had a part to do with it. Obviously, when you're getting the ball and pushing it, you're not really taking 3-pointers. You're just getting to the rack. You're scoring when you can. And when you're playing a slow-paced offense, you can obviously set up plays to hit those shots. Now, I think that if Denver does slow down the game, you'll see more 3-point opportunities, and I do think that there's going to be a change in game plan because this is probably the first Denver team that can let the ball fly realistically. Now, Strother's a guy who's been on the roster for a little bit. He could shoot. AG obviously got better. Christian Brown obviously got better. We know Jamal could shoot. We know that obviously Jokic could shoot. But now you add a guy like Bruce, who's not a terrible 3-point shooter. You add a guy like Tim Hardaway Jr. You still have Strother. A guy like Peyton Watson's continuing to work on his game. You have a backup center that can actually let the ball fly. Jamal is still there. We might see some more pick and pops with realistically anybody in the starting five, and that's what I'm going to get into in a little while. But I think that this is going to be a change in what we've seen from the Nuggets the last couple of years. This is going to be a team that I think may just let the ball fly and let Jokic and Val pound it down low. You have guys that can do that. Duran, when he gets his opportunity, can shoot. Who knows how much Strother is going to play this year, but when he gets his opportunity, I'm sure he's going to shoot the ball because that's what he does. He's a spark plug shooter. I think that, like I said, this is going to be a year to see the change in pace. Obviously, we're running with a David Adelman team rather than a Mike Malone team, so that's another thing that's going to have a little bit to do with it. Adelman hasn't had the full year under his belt, only a couple of games realistically. And we saw the change in game plans when he was playing. He was switching from zone to man to zone to man, back to a different zone. So defensively, we'll see a switch. But like I said, he wants to slow down the pace, and I think that we may see a difference in how Denver really plays. I think that we might see a hit to Jokic's points per game strictly because this is the best team he has around him. And I think that, another thing I broke down is what Jokic will do when it comes to how he will play, if he's going to be playing at the low block, the top of the key, if they're going to play through him, or if they're going to let him just pound down low and have everybody else let it fly around him. So I think it's going to be interesting. But another thing is that when Jokic isn't in there, they have another backup center. And that's somebody I want to talk about real quick. Something that he did was the first half of yesterday at the time of this recording, so now it would be 2 days ago when this episode airs, Eurobasket game against Montenegro. In a half, he had 19 points. He shot 8 for 9 from the field. He had 5 rebounds. He was plus 19 when he was on the floor, and he only played 13 minutes. Now, what I was just talking about, this is a guy who's going to come in, back up Jokic, and he was letting the ball fly. In 13 minutes, he went 3 for 4 from the 3-point line. Now, I know everybody's thinking, oh, Montenegro, if you're not watching Eurobasket, you probably just think he's playing against some bums. He was doing this against Nikola Vucevic. Now, that's an NBA talent, a guy who I actually like Vucevic a lot. He's a guy that if we weren't able to bring a guy like Val in, I would have loved if he took a backseat role to play with Jokic. That's an NBA player. Now, is he this amazing defensive player? No, not at all. But he's doing it against NBA talent. He's pounding the ball inside. You go back and watch the highlights. Mind you, 13 minutes, he grabbed 5 rebounds, had 19 points, and shot 3 for 4 from the 3-point line. That's what Denver needs. A backup center who can shoot 3 for 4 from the 3-point line. Obviously, he's not going to be this consistent every single time that he plays for Denver. But if Denver's able to have that firepower in games where Jokic doesn't play, or if Jokic needs a break, you have a center who could come in and listen, it's going to be different in the NBA when he's playing against certain teams. Obviously, the Western Conference teams have better centers, in my opinion. But if he could come in and put up 12 points a game, 5 rebounds in a few minutes while Jokic is off the floor, and he's able to play 20 minutes on the Denver Nuggets, Denver's in the best position they've been in a very long time. Realistically, he's expanding the defense, he's expanding the floor, and he's just making it so much easier for guys like Jamal, guys like Tim Hardaway, guys like Bruce to score, guys like Jokic to get a break, even if maybe they run a 2-center set and they want to take Aaron Gordon out and they put Jokic and Val in the game at the same time. Defensively, it may have its problems, but now looking at the fact that Val's able to extend the floor still, you can run a double hedge screen with Jokic and Val, or an offset screen, and have one guy pop, have one guy roll, and the opportunities with that set are endless with those two guys and Jamal Murray. I think that Denver is in such a good position with Val as the backup, seeing what he's able to do in Eurobasket right now. I think that, like I said, if a guy could do that in Eurobasket against an NBA player, I'm very excited to see what he could do against a bench unit in the NBA. Now, another thing I want to bring up, another NBA University on X. If you guys follow them, or if you don't follow them, you should. They bring up just about every stat you could ever imagine, and I love looking at their posts. That's where I get a lot of my content from, strictly because they talk about the entire NBA. They talk about specific teams, specific players. They bring up the stats on certain players, how certain players play when guarded by other players. But they brought up the Denver Nuggets, and I think it's super interesting what they said. We're bringing up the fact that MPJ got traded and what MPJ really did for Denver, and that is the fact that MPJ expanded the floor for Denver, wasn't scared to shoot, which made it easy for Denver to expand defenses. But the good thing about what Denver did this offseason is they brought in a guy who can do exactly that for MPJ. So the Cam Johnson trade for MPJ, obviously, it's almost the exact same player, except Cam might be more talented all around. He's a smarter player. His IQ is super high. He's efficient. Maybe MPJ is a little bit more efficient, but Cam could also score from every single point of the floor. Not saying MPJ can't, but MPJ is a guy who just wanted to let the ball fly. Cam also lets the ball fly. There's not a problem with Cam taking shots. He's not nervous to take a shot from 15 feet out. He's not nervous to take a shot from 2 feet behind the three-point line. He's a guy who's also going to let the ball fly, and I think he's going to thrive in an offense like the Denver Nuggets. So I'm super excited. Like I said, NBA University brought it up. It's true what they said. He's also going to expand those defenses. Like I just said with Val, he's going to expand the defense as well, which I think that Denver's in for a very big year. I think that every Nuggets fan thinks so as well. And the last thing I want to talk about is obviously talking about Nuggets fans, the community. I did bring up some trades a couple episodes ago, and I just find it funny. People, this team won't do that, and this team won't trade for this. We're in a situation now where I wouldn't be shocked at any move that happens. If Denver trades for a backup point guard and they get rid of Hunter Tyson and Jalen Pickett, would I be shocked that somebody took them on? Sure, but at the same time, I'm not very blown away by it because we were able to acquire Jonas Valanciunas for a guy like Dario Saric who didn't play. He didn't get minutes, and when he did, he wasn't very good. So I wouldn't be shocked if Denver really makes any move. I think that this management is so smart that they could get just about anything that they want to get done. Denver, everybody was told that Denver couldn't trade Michael Porter Jr. Guess what? They traded him for a guy who's younger, or who's older, opened up cap space, who's the same kind of caliber of a player. They were told that Dario Saric couldn't go anywhere after accepting his option. Everybody freaked out. Well, they traded him for a backup center that's better than just about any backup Jokic has ever had. So, like I said, with the management that Denver has right now, I would not be shocked by any move at all. Anyway, that is all I got for you guys for today. I'll have another episode out for you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys for checking out. Hit that like and subscribe button, leave a comment, and this is Tom Leuthner signing out.